The only good thing that came out of this mass failure is the fact that it has raised alarm. Because since this week, it's been JAMB this, JAMB that, JAMB this.
Even trying. Nigerian students, I must commend them at this point in time because we learn under very harsh conditions, very unfavorable conditions, very discomforting situations.
Yeah. He's obviously empathetic to the plight of so many Nigerians who took JAMB and failed. But then again, I feel like his hand was forced.
Class A to E or class A to H, G. And in all of these classes, we have like 200, 300, 400 students in a class. So
curbing exam malpractices, comes with a price of so many people failing.
Future leaders of tomorrow are failing exams, are failing important exams as JAMB. That means the future is in trouble. Whether we like it or not, the future is in trouble.
Sorry to cut, like she's a straight A student. She cannot fail JAMB. And imagine someone taking her life because of JAMB.
Too bad.
And that's where...
Welcome back. You're still watching the Idea Morning Digest. So why are we still here? Tackling technical glitches in Nigeria's education system. Welcome back, like I said, on the show. And it's now time for the discussion segment, and we are diving into one of the most pressing issues affecting our future leaders. That's our students. And the UTME receipt began today. And let's just say, not everyone is smiling. Forget that I'm smiling because over 379,000 candidates, mostly in Lagos and the Southeast, are retaking their JAMB exams because of a technical glitch. Severe failure to be exact. But here's the issue. This isn't the first time. It's not even the second time. We've been doing CBT exams for over 10 years. And why are these glitches still happening? That's what we're asking today. Why is our tech failing our children? And why do we keep calling it innovation if it is not improving the experience? So today's question is one every Nigerian can relate to. Why are we still here? Why do our system collapse at the moments that matters the most? The questions are so many, but we must begin to unravel them, and that's why we are talking about this issue today and as it affects the society at large. So we started talking about the UTME and the failure, the mass failure, and especially because of the statement the Minister of Education said that it has exposed exam malpractice in the Nigerian educational system that has been going on for so long, and he was happy with the outcome. And we started seeing blames of students from left to right. But we started saying on the show, and just as many other people have been engaging in this discussion, that children need to be blamed at this point in time? Just as we are trying to understand who is to be blamed or who isn't to be blamed, JAMB came out to say it's an error from their part. That's a good way. First of all, I must applaud them for transparency and accountability.
Yeah.
They took it upon themselves to come out and say it's a failure from our end.
Yeah.
But that's not our major concern at the end of the day, because if we keep capitalizing on if we keep capitalizing on the fact that accountability is just for somebody to come out and own up to their mistakes, or an agency to come out and own up for their mistake, we won't go anywhere. We are talking about the way to go today. JAMB started over 10 years ago. We're in a digital world, and we are trying to go
the computer-based test.
Computer-based test.
Yeah.
We transitioned to the computer-based test in, I think, 2013, if I am not mistaken.
Yeah,
and
that's about 2013, 2014.
Or so, and that's about 10 years or over 10 years now. So why are we still going over the issue of errors in the digital space, errors, technical issues, and whatnot?
All right, so now the CBT is already becoming very increasing in the nation, right? And the Office of the Service of the Federation has mandated that CBTs will, be used for every exam in Nigeria come 2027. Now let's talk about the JAMB Saga. The Minister of Education was also in tears, saying that it's an error from their part. Now I want to believe that he's obviously empathetic to the plight of so many Nigerians who took JAMB and failed. But then again, I feel like his hand was forced in the sense that at first, what they were saying does not match what's happening now. Because when the result came out, they said, oh, thank God, it shows, that they are doing something good. And all thanks to the CBT, the exam malpractices has been curbed, right? And you remember during the course of our show last week, we were not happy, obviously.
Yes.
Because I don't want to believe that curbing exam malpractices, comes with a price of so many people failing. Because I know that there's so many people prepared for this exam. Now, going back to CBT. CBT started with my set, because I remember in 2014 when I wrote JAMB, it was CBT. That was like, they were still experimenting, But then it was a lot. You can imagine 2014, the whole CBT wasn't so rampant. It was still an experiment. And I remember writing that particular exam. It was a center in Weri at the time. And we had to wait. It was like a remote village. We wrote that particular exam. There were not enough computers at that time. And we have to wait. We took turns. So when it's your turn, you sit down. The exam, I won't lie to you, is very credible in the sense that you come, sit down, to your system, you write your exam, and you go. There's no time to wait. Once you're done, it's timed. The system is timed. It's 40 minutes, 50 minutes. You come, you take your answers, and you go. And yes, I remember I came out in flying colors, but the tricky thing is so many people failed that year. 10 years later, we are still seeing mass failure. Meaning, and the difference with now and that time is social media wasn't so popular at the time. People coming out to speak their mind.
So and what are we posting the blame on?
At that time, if you fail, you count your losses and you move on. But then if you make it, fine. 10 years later, why are we still experiencing the same glitches? And now you're saying you want all exams in Nigeria to transition from the normal paper and pen, pattern to the CBT. How are you going to manage that? If JAMB, the reason why JAMB is even fair, because JAMB is more like you come, you take your answer. It's not like a theoretical thing where you have to write a lot. It's you take your answer and you go. But for WAEC, it's a continuous process and all. And how do you intend to manage that? Because we talked about something last week where we said so many government schools don't even have access to enough computers. I mean, we all went, for me, I don't know for others, I went to a police school and we didn't have enough computers in our class. If we were 100 in class, we had to share maybe 5 computers. So how are we going to manage that? That's the question. And why are we still having glitches? It shows how incompetent our educational system has been. And I'm grateful. The only good thing that came out of this mass failure is the fact that it has raised alarm. Because since this week, it's been JAMB this, JAMB that, JAMB this. And thank you for, taking accountability, because this is not something I've seen a lot in Nigeria. People coming out to own up to their mistakes. So
very important.
Yes, I'm really commending the Minister of Education for coming out to even agree that there was a glitch, and that's why so many people who sat for this year's UTME failed. And the fact that they won't even allow them resit that exam, I applaud. I'm really applauding.
I mean, that's questionable too, on one end. In as much as, yes, I do not really think calling for a receipt is the way to go. You mentioned something about, there's something you said. I mean, at this point in time, you've talked about educational failure in our educational system and incompetence in our educational system. I wouldn't really even say it's just incompetence in the educational system or failure, because when we say incompetence, we have to put it on one head. Somebody needs to take, you understand? Accountability for, even if we know he has come out to say, oh, this is it. Or Is it just about coming out to say, like I mentioned earlier on, is it just about coming out to say, oh, the error is from our end, oh, this is it, let's resit? We are coming to that because a lot of parents and students have been crying over this issue.
Yeah.
How am I going to resit for this exam? But still talking about the recurring issues, still talking about the glitches here and the failures and the frustration. I really see, I don't know how to put it, but I feel it's generally, when we talk about our educational system, we are talking about system failure, we are talking about poor infrastructural facility, we are talking about negligence.
True.
We are talking about a whole lot of things here, because you just mentioned how we hardly have enough or even any computer system in a school, especially in public schools. So you can imagine, where is the preparedness? Where is the readiness? How do they ensure they get these students ready for such exams? We are in this time now. This is 10 years later, and we are still talking about this issue. Part of the reason why this CBT computer-based test was brought about is because they said they want to curb exam malpractice. And I believe that was the only thing they looked at when they evaluated the results. They just saw that, okay, people failed, and yes, we have tackled malpractice. But we talked about fastness, we talk about swiftness, we talk about speeding results in aligning, with digital educational needs. That's why CBT was brought about. But at this point in time, when you capitalize on malpractice, you are looking at you are looking outside of the picture.
Yes.
We are talking of another thing entirely, which is not the problem. So I think when we encounter issues like this, we should look at the root of the problem. Where is this issue coming from?
True.
Is our infrastructural facilities in schools in place? Are our teachers equipped enough? Because throughout last year, it was serious battle for the NUT, National Union of Teachers, threatening to go on one strike to another. They weren't just complaining about money, so they won't say it's just their salaries.
Yeah.
Yes, they need salaries. Now, where they work, now you go chop at the end of the day. They need salaries to go by. But then they were complaining about, that shows that they are really concerned. They want to grow, because you cannot, everybody needs to grow every day. They were complaining about not being trained as well. Their teachers need training as well. So when we look at students have failed, we are just looking this thing. We have to take a holistic approach when we are looking at this issue, because Nigeria's educational system. We are talking about comfortability. The other day I was discussing with somebody. You cannot put me in an environment where, Nigerians are even trying. Nigerian students, I must commend them at this point in time, because we learn under very harsh conditions, very unfavorable conditions, very discomforting situations.
Yeah.
There's no fun. We are over 300 in class, where there's class A to E, or class A to H, G. And in all of these classes, we have like 200, 300, 400 students in a class. Some people do not even have where to sit. Sometimes you're just tired of standing or sitting on the floor, and then you go outside. Most especially for people in public schools. How many people can afford to go to private schools? And this is where collaboration even comes in. Like this issue is a very big one, but we must move forward. We've talked about recurring issues. Why does this keep happening over? It's high time we change this pattern. It's high time we look into this and see that if this system is not working for us, then we have to re-strategize. Yeah. We have to look at the way forward. You want to say something?
Yeah, I'm seeing this question here. Is Nigeria truly ready for high-stakes digital testing? Now, you want us to transition from the popular pen and paper pattern of writing, WAEC, NECO, which other exam do we have? And all other exams, obviously, that we write here in Nigeria, we should transition from the paper pen to using computer. How many computers do we have in schools?
We are talking of innovation. Idea TV is an innovation television.
And we are open. We are open. I love growth.
But this shows failure in innovation. Just like you've rightfully mentioned, if we must, sail through this part, then we must look at the way forward. We must look at what are the issues? Why? What are the issues? I mean, this is a pertinent question we are asking at this point. And this question is not just for, this question is for everybody. That's why I said today's topic affects the society at large. You mentioned something very, very important when we started talking about this issue in the last episode, where you talked about it's a general failure. It's not a failure for just the student, or it's not a failure for just them. It's a general failure. It's failure for everybody. It's failure for the society at large, because a society where future leaders of tomorrow are failing exams, are failing important exams as JAMB, that means the future is in trouble. True. Whether we like it or not, the future is in trouble.
Sorry to cut you short. There was a case of someone committing suicide. And now I'm hearing, in the news, someone came out to say that they should check that girl that committed suicide. Are we sure that it's JAMB? That, like, maybe because she feels JAMB, that's why she committed suicide. Maybe she had other personal things bothering her, and they should parents to do more and look after the welfare of their children. Really? It might be other things that accumulated, but this one triggered it. Yes. So we should fix the problem instead of looking for how to escape. He also said, the problem with Nigerians, everything can be going right. When there's change, you should expect that, change comes with its own price. And it's not when one thing goes wrong, everyone forgets the growth. Now, let me ask you a question. For the past 10 years, since we transitioned from the old paper and pen pattern of writing JAMB to CBT, what's that growth that has happened tremendously that we can say?
Lack of evaluation. Lack of the lack, that's...
Have we truly curbed malpractices?
That's the question.
Have they really? Because that seems to be the focus for them.
In Nigeria, we always talk about implementation, and we tend to disconnect from the realities on ground. That's what I've noticed so far. Even just like I've been stating and emphasizing since we started, that we were quick, JAMB was quick to blame it on malpractice, that they have done something successfully. But how does that show that, okay, this is a win on the part for everybody? Because it's a win for JAMB. They have curbed malpractice. But do you go back and say, no, okay, we have different objectives when we started CBT, when we JAMB moved to CBT. One is malpractice. One is because we want to align with the digital world. Another one is to ensure that everybody is digitally inclined or something, and to ensure that results are out immediately. Mind you, these results were not out immediately.
No, it still takes time.
It took time. Why? I think when they started it, you could see your result immediately you write.
Which was the plan.
Automatically marks it, and then you see your result. And one very important thing is about corruption. This corruption, when I'm talking about corruption, because growing up, I noticed something, all of this, some of these public schools, some schools do. Schools that have, that they pay good school fees, that kind of school fees. School fees, when we talk of school fees, we are talking of school fees. I think some of these schools, what I've noticed, go to, is it that some of these schools are cutting corners and are trying to create contracts with these people? I'm not insinuating a fact here.
Let's use the word allegedly.
You get alleged. I'm just trying to, I'm asking a question. Could corruption at this point in time be a factor here? Because I remember I heard some of these things, that some schools go and buy, questions and give it to them, so that everybody in that school will come out, in flying colors and all of these things. So whatever the case may be, we need
just to react to what you just said. I wouldn't be surprised at this point, because when it comes to Nigeria, you hear different stories and you just don't know, which one to follow. So this is not news, if we are being honest.
Yeah.
Every school, when your parent is spending millions of naira to put you through school, I'm sure the school will know that failure is not an option.
It's not an option. So they will want to go out of
So doing anything, even going the extra mile to make sure that they come out to flying colors.
Just saying, these are some of the high stakes here. And the high stakes in digital systems require more than just us saying, you know, ambition. It
Another
requires more
question
than
I'm
just
asking
ambition.
is, what's the way forward? I mean, they've said we want to transition completely, not just JAMB, literally every exam, meaning even our junior WAEC, senior WAEC, every exam we write in Nigeria, we want to transition to the CBT. How do we really achieve this feat if we've not been able to fix the issues of JAMB? How do we do that?
A very big, a very, very important question, but then we must look at what it has cost humans. Like I said before, it requires an holistic approach. We must look at everything that's been put in place. We mustn't forget the students. We mustn't forget parents. We mustn't forget even these authorities that are in charge of conducting these exams. So when we take a deep look into all of these things and see that, okay, students have had months of preparing for these exams, JAMB or whichever educational board have had months, even years of preparing for these students to come and write these exams. Even parents have prepared financially, mentally, trying to prepare their children and everywise. So we must look at all of these conditions before we, take the step forward. We must look at us in the digital world now. We must look at how technology is growing fast and how it seems like we use technology for almost everything.
Sure.
We use it for travel. We use it for, content. We use it for businesses and whatnot. And we see ourselves thriving in those. Most of our financial digital. Nigerians rely mostly on digital banking systems these days. And it's technology, it's computer, it's all of these things. It's trotting the digital line. So why is this going south when it comes to education? So there's a whole lot of confusions there, and this has taken whole lot of psychological toll on everybody. So I think to approach this issue, we must find solutions, and one of the solutions is accountability.
And just to add to that, thank God for the digital space. Thank God for the social media era, and a big shout out to the parents who spoke up. They spoke for so many parents, so thousands of parents across the globe, across the country. If not for the fact that they spoke up and they were so sure. There was a particular parent that said his daughter got straight A's in her WAEC. Like, she's a straight A student. She cannot fail JAMB. And it sounded like, oh, is it only your daughter? Yes, he's sure. My daughter cannot fail JAMB. And even he was interviewed at some point. He even brought a lawyer. He was ready to fight. This. And all thanks to people like that man who spoke up. Justice might not have been served for others.
Exactly.
People would have had to resit it next year and spend another money.
Exactly.
And, there's one I saw on X. He said, I'm already getting old. I cannot continue writing JAMB every year. It's funny, but it's still sad at the same time. And imagine someone taking her life because of JAMB.
Too bad.
And that's where I come in. I think prioritize your mental health above every other thing, regardless of the situation. I don't think failing JAMB should be. I understand how painful and hurtful it is. Imagine burning candles, staying up late nights, and preparing for one exam. You've had to prepare for it like a whole year, and you fail, knowing that you did so well.
So well.
But the system, I want to believe the system failed you. But taking your life is extreme. So please, prioritize your mental health and all, regardless of the situation. I think our time is almost fast spent.
It's almost fast spent. So let's just round off with the way forward. What's the way forward?
Yeah.
We want to hear from you at this point in time. What is the way forward? Send your opinion, send your ideas, send your thoughts to us at our Gmail, via our Gmail, our email address at ideatelevision@gmail.com, and on our social media platforms at Idea Television. But let's talk a little about the way forward. Let's just round off with the way forward. What do you think is the way forward at this point in time?
Okay, so I think we're already saying it now. The Minister of Education coming out to even show empathy, and ordering them to resit this exam. Yes, it's laudable. I applaud him for that. So that's already a way forward.
Way
Because
forward.
like I said earlier, we don't see people coming out to take accountability when there's a problem. Instead, they digress and look for,
Exactly.
ways to blame it on other things. But making them receive this exam and all is the way
They
forward.
should be given more time.
They should give them more time because WAEC is currently going on, if I'm
Going
not
on.
mistaken,
So
and it will.
shuffling, and your
It
exam
will.
center might be in another
Yes,
state. And
yes.
all
So
of
I
those
think maybe
things.
after WAEC they allow them write this exam, and
Exam.
please this time out, let them properly check. People marking it, check thoroughly before you release this exam because people don't want to go through that stress or relieve it a second time.
All right.
So yes,
you have heard
and
very
maybe provide
much
more computers.
Okay, you have heard very much from my co-hosts and very bright ideas we share here on the Innovation Television. So for me here, what I will say is that the way forward is just it lies in three words for me. It lies in investment, it lies in innovation, and it lies in inclusion. I think it's high time we start to prioritize innovation at this point in time. When I mean innovation, I mean we should partner with other people doing well using this approach, using this model. We shouldn't just copy. We should just, tap from their approaches and see how it works with ours and align it to the way it works with us. And of course, investment, like I said before, I'm looking at it from the general point of view. We need to invest in infrastructural facilities, invest in the children because they are the leaders of tomorrow, and invest in the people that teach these students. We need to invest in them. And as Darius always emphasize, teach the learners how they want to learn. Very important. And very important, importantly, again, I must mention in this part of the world is inclusion. We must include, everybody must be included. No child, we do not want any child to be left behind at this point in time, whether geographically, whether the child is has some disability one way or the other, or because of some financial reasons. At this point, we say, we bring it to a close on the Idea Morning Digest, and we are going to come your way next time. So don't go nowhere. Still stay tuned for more programs, interesting programs airing here on Idea TV. Thank you. Say bye for now.
Bye for now.